Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we raise the golden torch against the creeping shadows of statist control and indoctrination. In the eternal struggle between the productive class and the coercive elite, few institutions have done more to erode individual liberty and family sovereignty than the American public school system. Today, we expose its true origins and the pivotal role of John Dewey in transforming it from a tool of assimilation and obedience into a full-blown engine of collectivist ideology. This isn't about educating children. It's about molding them into compliant servants of the state. Now let's uncover the origins of the public schools system. Hardly anyone denies that modern public schools are failing. Test scores have stagnated for decades despite endless funding increases. Discipline problems escalate, violence is routine, and metal detectors are now standard equipment. Welfare state advocates demand more money for poor districts. Conservatives push vouchers to restore choice. But almost everyone clings to the myth that the original reformers, Horace Mann, Henry Barnard, meant well, and that later problems were unintended consequences. That narrative is dangerously false. As historian Michael Katz observed, the crusade led by Horace Mann was never a simple good. It was a deliberate effort to create efficient mechanisms of social control. The chief legacy of the public school system is the principle that education is something the better part of society does to the rest to make them orderly, moral, and tractable. Before the 1830s, education in America was decentralized and voluntary. Catholic, Protestant, and private schools competed for students. Governments sometimes offered modest aid, but there was no concept of a centralized public school system. Not in the US, not anywhere in the Western world. That changed in the 1840s amid massive immigration. Between 1821 and 1850, nearly 2.5 million Europeans arrived, over 1 million of them Irish Catholics. Nativist backlash was ferocious. Know-Nothing riots, arson on Catholic churches, accusations that Catholics owed primary allegiance to the Pope. Protestants feared a false creed taking root in America. Establishing a state church was politically impossible, so they used schools instead. Horace Mann's non-denominational system, laden with Protestant hymns, prayers, and the King James Bible, became the de facto substitute for a national church. As historian Susan Rose noted, public schools enforced Protestant values under the guise of neutrality. Catholics responded in 1874 by building their own parochial system. This wasn't benevolence, it was protectionism. Protestant schools were losing market share to Catholic competitors, so they turned to government for subsidies and restrictions on rivals. Classic cronyism. Trade unions supported it to remove children from the labor market and raise adult wages. The upper middle class benefited most. Their children attended free schools while the poor and childless subsidized them through taxes. In Oregon, private schooling was even banned outright until the Supreme Court struck it down in 1925. The deeper agenda was obedience. Public schools mirrored industrial factories, training children to become docile urban workers, loyal citizens and company men. Rural traditions, ethnic identities, and parental authority were systematically erased. Parents had no real leverage. Dissatisfied? Pay taxes anyway, or face the state's compulsion. The elitism was explicit. Henry Barnard argued that children of the extreme poor, ignorant, and intemperate should be removed from their homes as early and long as possible. Horace Mann declared that common schools must reach all the children belonging to the state, children who are soon to be the state. Children weren't individuals. They were wards of the state, raw material to be molded. This coercive foundation set the stage for the next phase. John Dewey, 1859 to 1952, the philosopher who radicalized man's system into a full-blown instrument of collectivist indoctrination. Dewey wasn't a mere educator, he was an architect of social engineering. At the University of Chicago's Laboratory School in 1896, he tested his theories. No strict curriculum, no grades, just experiential projects and group activities. In Democracy and Education, 1916, he wrote, "Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself." The school was to be an embryonic society where children learn through doing and problem solving, not rote memorization or moral absolutes. Dewey rejected fixed values, traditional religion, and classical knowledge as elitist relics. He saw capitalism and individualism as barriers to true democracy. He praised Soviet education for fostering a collectivistic mentality and believed schools should socialize children into cooperative, egalitarian citizens, free from dogmas like natural law or transcendent morality. Morality became pragmatic and social, not absolute. The goal: create the mass mind. Through Columbia University's Teachers College, Dewey trained generations of educators. By the mid-20th century, progressive methods dominated: child-centered, relativistic, anti-authority. The results are clear: eroded discipline, moral relativism, and a generation taught to question everything except the state's authority. Classical subjects like history, logic, and literature were sidelined for life adjustment education and group projects that prioritize conformity over knowledge. Dewey's defenders claim his ideas were misapplied, that he wanted critical thinkers, not conformists. But his writings are unambiguous. He celebrated collectivism, advocated a socialized economy, and saw schools as the primary means to reconstruct society away from individualism towards state-guided planning. Today, the public school monopoly, funded by the productive class, continues this legacy. It pushes ideological conformity on issues like gender ideology, climate activism, and equity while suppressing dissent. Homeschoolers and private school families are often demonized as threats to social cohesion. The state still views children as its wards, not their parents. True education requires consent, not coercion. It thrives in freedom, voluntary, family-driven, and community-based. Compulsion is the enemy of genuine learning. Even Horace Mann admitted late in life, the education of the whole people can never be attained without the consent of the whole people. Compulsion, even though it were desirable, is not an available instrument. Enlightenment, not coercion, is our resource. Yet coercion was the foundation from the start, and Dewey made it ideological. The public school system was never about opportunity. It was always about control. If this torch has ignited your skepticism, subscribe to the Stateless Standard for more unfiltered anarcho-capitalist analysis. Like, share, and subscribe to spread the light. Comment below. How has the public school system shaped the world we live in today? Until next time, keep questioning the overlords, the people against the powerful. Liberty endures.